Need to see you.
We're live now. Okay. Okay. Hello. Our audience is coming, and we're getting ready for the Rankins Files. We're in the studio today, and we have an exciting show for you. So we're going to get ready to go live in a minute. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you tell your friends to join in, and we're going to ask you to call in too if you like, because that's what this show is about. Everybody, and we know there's something to help everyone. So the number, I'll give you that a little later as we get ready to go on the air. So we'll be with you shortly. Okay, so I'll make sure I do the number. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rankins Files. I'm your host, Deborah Rankins, and we are live back at my station here in Jackson, Alabama, here at Dixie 94.5 WHOD. I'm delighted to be back home in my station. I've enjoyed my time away at the various locations as we've had in the past. So tonight we're going to talk about women of the Bible, those who have inspired, encouraged, or those you identify with. And I do have a commentary that I want to share. My host this evening is Miss Regina Philen. She is a vocalist who's an educator and a woman of God who loves the Lord. So we want to say, give you an opportunity to our audience. Regina, you want to say hi?
Sure do. Good evening, everybody. I'm looking forward to this evening's show.
All right, you're going to hear not only her has given us a chance to hear some great blessed music, but she's also going to share and dialogue with me as we discuss women of the Bible. Get to that part, I do want to share with you my commentary for this evening, and I hope that you're going to be moved by it. I want to also dedicate this show to all the women out there who are sick, shut in, who are struggling, who are wanting to identify with someone. I want to remind you, women, that you were made in God's image and that women have a special role in our society. A woman brought forth our Savior. Isn't that a great task? As many of you mentioned, a couple of you, that Mary, mother of Jesus, is a woman that you admire. But before I go to that, I do have a commentary that I want to share, and I call it my 2 cents worth. So I hope that you would take it prayerfully, what I have to say. It is my opinion. It is not, I guess, somebody else's. Just my opinion and my thoughts on this show for this evening. So here we go. Okay, well, since January, I've been interviewing authors and vocalists. However, this evening, I have decided to deviate a little bit by discussing what I consider the greatest book ever written, the Bible. Unfortunately, I'm not able to put all the authors in a seat to ask them questions as I have done in the past. So, who were the authors of the book of the Bible? Some of you may ask. Well, I actually got this answer from the internet, and it's one that we're all familiar with, that unfortunately, above the human authors, the Bible was written by God. According to 2 Timothy 3:16 tells us that the Bible was a breath out by God. God superintended the human authors of the Bible so that while using their own writing styles and personalities, they recorded exactly what God intended. The Bible was not dictated by God, but it was perfectly guided and entirely inspired by him. Okay, so that we know that. So that's why you see I can't bring the authors of the Bible here. Humanly speaking, the Bible was written by approximately 40 men of diverse backgrounds over the course of 1,500 years. Isn't that amazing? Isaiah was a prophet. Ezra was a priest. Matthew was a tax collector. John was a fisherman. Paul was a tent maker. Moses was a shepherd. Luke was a physician. And despite being penned by all these different authors from over 15th century, the Bible does not contradict itself. Because we're still reading it, aren't we? And we're following it. It does not contain any errors. The authors all present different perspectives, as you're going to hear our perspectives this evening. But they all proclaim the same one true God and the same one way of salvation, which is Jesus the Christ, right? John 14:6 and Acts 4:12. Few of the books of the Bible specifically name their author. We're not going into that. But I wanted to discuss the Bible because I'm discussing authors, and I have my vocalist here, Sister Regina Philen, who's a great vocalist and woman of God. But in the light of the Women's March this past weekend and my ear to the people, I have decided to celebrate women in that way. So, and this is the way that I'm comfortable celebrating women on the radio. I have chosen to celebrate the greatest book ever written and to discuss early women who were great enough to have been mentioned and noted for their contributions within the pages of over thousands of years ago, and we still study it today. Surely, we can recognize a woman's role in present-day history. Would you agree? Well, last evening, I want to share with you what I did. Some of you are aware, but on the radio audience, they may not be aware, but my Facebook audience do. Last evening at 10 o'clock, about 10:15 p.m., I posted the following on my Facebook page. Quote, "What woman of the Bible do you admire or identify with? Or who do you find most interesting? Type her name in the comment below. Tell us why you chose her or share any additional details. Men and women are encouraged to respond. Please encourage your friends to share. Be blessed." Well, I want to share something with you because of that. I was surprised that at 4:56 p.m. the next day, which is this evening, I noted that only 16 people liked the post, 2 loved the post, thereby acknowledged seeing the post. There were only 2 shares. And from the 18 acknowledgments, 7 folks had the courage to share with the world the woman of the Bible they admire, identify with, or found interesting. Isn't that amazing? And of those, 6 women I said, 7 folks, 2 of the ladies were out of state. 1 from California and 1 from Arkansas. Maria was from California and Donna's from Arkansas. 1 is a male, a retired journalism professor, okay? And 1 lady from Watley. Another was a teacher and author from Thomasville, Miss Vanessa Norwood Patterson responded, and so did Miss Janice Martin of Watley. And the 2 other women who responded was, of course, myself and my co-host, Regina Philen, who's an educator and vocalist from Monroe. Well, why am I sharing this, you might ask? I find it appalling that more Christians did not take an opportunity to profess their faith in this way. I wonder how many responses I would have gotten if I had asked folks to type in the comment section, which team will they support? Will it be Alabama or Auburn? Perhaps I would have gotten hundreds of responses. I don't know. But I'm just saying something to think about. I challenge women and men, all of us, to go back to our roots, to look at those who have come before us. I think they have plenty to teach us. The early women, those women of the Bible, those Civil War women, the slave women, great grandmama them, mama them, aunties, big mama, mother, and so on, ones have something or a lot to offer. Perhaps the question is, who have you identified with, and do you have the courage to tell somebody? Perhaps that's the question. Well, thanks for joining me this evening. I pray something is said to inform you, to encourage you, and most importantly, to bless you. I'm Deborah Rankins, and this is my 2 cents worth for this evening's show. Thank y'all for joining me, and thank y'all for listening to my commentary and my 2 cents worth, because it's something to think about. I love Facebook. I'm on there all the time. I love the media, and I communicate a lot. But I find it very interesting when we don't choose to identify with something that we say we profess, but we don't have the courage to acknowledge. And I find that we are very slow and have little courage to acknowledge things that relate to God. And I think that as women, we want to start somewhere, and men too, but tonight's show is about women. Tonight's show is about women we admire and all that. Actually, I even shared with someone that I find interesting, and that is Delilah. And we're going to talk about all that. But Regina, thank you for joining us, and I just want you to share something with us. I don't want to take up all the time talking.
Well, I was just enjoying your commentary and writing my little notes down here because I feed off of other people. And when you were talking, several things came to mind. And one of those things was my conversation with my little folks this morning. We had a passage that we had to share, and it involved junk food. It was actually based on an article that was written some time back, and it was the attack ad. About the attack ad against junk food.
Okay.
And we came to 2 words, and those words kind of stuck in my head, and they popped back up when you were talking just now, and that was marketing and promoting. How we sell ourselves, basically, is what I thought of when you were talking. How do we sell ourselves? When I talked to the kids, we were talking about how advertisements in stores jump out at you. How they, even though they don't have jobs, they have that buying power because they convince their parents to go and buy these things for them. Well, when you think about yourself, that advertising thing, and I told them about how ad marketing, some of it works because it was marketing and promoting, how you'd sit around the table and they'd have a pad and a pencil and they'd draw out ideas and they'd say something like, hey, little kids watch the Flintstones. We want them to eat vitamins. Let's make that vitamin look like Fred. Let's make it look like Barney. They like Pebbles and Bam Bam. And so in that marketing strategy, they got the kids' eye because it was something that was familiar to them. That cartoon character sold that vitamin on that child screaming, saying, I don't want my vitamins, I don't want my vitamins. Then they see that packaging in the store. They want that vitamin. Are we selling ourselves? How are we selling ourselves? How are we marketing ourselves? Can people see that advertisement when we're walking towards them? The sign doesn't say anything.
Wow.
It's just sitting there, but it grabbed our attention. So how are we packaging ourselves when we go out? Are we emulating those women that we were taught by, those women that we were taught about? Or are we picking whatever flash in the pan is brightest right now? You know, whoever's got the brightest star shining right now. Are we emulating those people? Do we strive to be like those people? Or are we taking those kids, and I say the kids because I like to think we start when they're little. We know we say, when we read that book that we're referencing tonight, train up a child in the way that he should go. So are we giving them that marketing? Are we giving them that image when they are starting out? That they know, that they grow into that packaging that says, I am a Christian. I am walking this walk. I am headed on this path that I'm supposed to be on. I'm following God's path to my destiny. And you can see it on me. I don't have to flash a sign or shout it out, but you can see it on me. So when you were naming the ladies there, and I'm thinking about what their trials were, as we're going to talk about in a few minutes, my thing was, they didn't have to have advertisement that screamed at you. They kind of wore their signs.
Yes. Yes. I love it. That's why it's so good to have a teacher here. Because, you know, it's good to have someone to just break it down for us. And Sister Regina, that down about who are we emulating? What are we modeling? What are people seeing when they see us? And especially about the children. What are they seeing and who are they wanting to be like? And that's why the words of the Bible, the words in the Bible, the women of the Bible are some great examples for us to model ourselves after. And many of them did have women to model after. You know, the very first, you know, we talk about Eve, but Eve was the first woman, wasn't she? And Eve had a very challenging task. She didn't have anybody to model, any women to model after. Well, there goes the first segment. But as you can see, this is a very good conversation this evening. We're going to come back from our radio audience. Don't leave after the commercial break. We'll be back with you. And then during the Facebook time, we're going to give a shout out to our folks who are listening out there. You are listening to the Rankins Files on Dixie 94.5. Hello, Facebook audience. So we're going to say thank y'all for listening. It truly is a blessing to have you here. I want to send a shout out to you. And also, I want to give the phone number out to you in case you want to call in during the radio live broadcast, because I want to take any questions, or if you want to share something about the woman you admire most. Hi, Donna. I see you're on there. We appreciate having you, and let me send a shout out to all of you. But when we come back, I'm actually going to give the phone number out for the station. Okay? Well, let's send a shout out. We have Miss Ella Brownlee with us this evening. We'll start from the beginning. We have a nice group here. We have, let's see. We have Morris, Pretty Morris. We have Benny Arnold joining us here. We have Mr. Charles Williams. Hello, Mr. Charles. Velda Robinson, how are you doing? Alice Dorset Daffin, how are you? Yvonne Morissette, Deborah Jones. How you doing, Deb? Miss Vanessa Patterson, great having you last week. Mr. Ed Williams, how are you doing? Sherry Knight, hi there. Linda Pennington, Ivory Lafitte, how are you doing, Miss Linda? Helen Brownlee, Cynthia Harris. Hi, classmate. How are you doing? We have Cinda Barnes. How are you? I hope you're feeling better. Miss Donna, thank you for joining us again. Carla McIntosh, thank you for joining us. Hi, Della Nobles. Hello there. Everyone else, I may have missed someone. I apologize, but I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Regina and I are happy to have you, and I just want to ask her, if you guys may have a request of her, I don't know, but and I don't know if she's taking any, but I just want to mention. But I'm gonna give her an opportunity to say hello to the audience who is listening on Facebook Live.
Well, to all those names that she just mentioned and everybody that I know and maybe new faces that I haven't met yet, hello, and I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. And just the conversation here to me is a good thing. And if we can have you join in with us, all the better.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure I give y'all that number. I see Celia Morissette has joined us. Joining us here on Facebook Live. As you are tuned in to the Rankins Files, we're getting ready to bring in our radio audience here. So stay tuned in because we have some mighty discussions to talk about. Very, very, very good discussions to talk about here. Hello, we're back, our radio audience. Thank you for joining us. You are listening to the Rankins Files. I am Deborah Rankins, your host. We're at the Jackson studio, and we're discussing women of the Bible. The first woman of the Bible that we talked about, actually, I believe we had two individuals, Regina, to talk about those. But before we do, I want to give those who didn't have a chance to express themselves, I want to give you the phone number for the station, and I had it written down on something. It is 877. I should know this number by heart, forgive me. The number is 877-226-2106.
If you want to call in and be on the air to share your opinion about any woman of the Bible that you admire or over the years that have given you courage to move on, or if you want to make a comment on my Facebook page in that section where we have listed your comments, where you have the opportunity to express that, please type it in and we'll be happy to share it over the air. The number again is 877-226-2106. And you'll have the opportunity to express your opinion and your comments on the woman or the women of the Bible you admire. It may encourage and bless someone. Thank you for joining us. So, Regina, actually, let's start with Ruth. Ruth is the one I believe you mentioned. And then a friend from
Gittin, who is from California, on my page had mentioned that she admires Ruth, and I'm going to read what tell us what she said, and then tell us what some of the comments that we have about Ruth, who's a loyal daughter-in-law.
Okay. The background information for Ruth, the loyal daughter-in-law, a native of Moab, east of the Jordan River, the wife of Mahlon, the daughter-in-law of Naomi and Elimelech. Her husband died before they had a child. She loved her mother-in-law, Naomi, and left her own homeland. Let me say that again. She loved her mother-in-law, Naomi, so much that she left her homeland to go with Naomi to Bethlehem. She listened to Naomi's advice. Her spirit and character attracted Boaz, the kinsman redeemer. Boaz agreed to buy Naomi's estate and take Ruth as his wife. Through their family line came King David and ultimately Jesus the Messiah. What stood out most for me about her, and when I talk about character traits with the kids even, I mention, and I don't make it a religious reference, but we treat it as literature. But when I use an example of loyalty, she is always right there for me.
Oh,
because
why
I think of
choose
Ruth as a person who, if you use what she did just to give them an image of what loyalty would look like, you're going to leave everything you know, everything you're comfortable with. Yes, you fell in love with this man or you're following this man, but once he's gone, your loyalty lay with that people you had joined so much so that you left behind everything and everyone. That's what true loyalty would be. Jesus leaves his Father in heaven, knowing, I think, this is my mind, I'm like you now, this is my opinion. Hey, I got everything. I am with God the Father. I can stay right here and be fine. Loyalty, devotion to a people that he wanted to save, helped to drive him to come. Loyalty made him stay. I mean, hey, I'm sure if this is just my mind, my imagination. I'm saying, this is getting hard. I'm going back. I'm going to give up this right now.
You know what it is? We going home. We're playing and somebody doesn't go by our rules. Forget y'all. I'm going home.
Exactly.
See y'all
but
later.
Then that word loyalty comes back.
My.
He didn't. They turned on him. He didn't. Loyalty. And I saw that kind of thing going on with Ruth because she didn't. She didn't turn back. Things were bad. She could have said, okay, like we think now, mother-in-law?
Yes.
Mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law, that's the whole
thing. This is our own women's march right here.
Okay, women who are married out there, yeah, can we be a Ruth? Stick with that mother-in-law?
Or we're going to be that one to say, I'm going home.
Right.
I'm turning around.
My husband dead now. I see y'all.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Something to think about, isn't it? Devotion.
That loyalty.
My. And what did Maria Gittin say about it? Let's see what Maria said. Maria stated that, let's see if I can find her comment. She said, you want to repeat what she said?
Okay, I can see it now. Because she left her family and declared, your people are my people, and your God is my God. That is the oath that converts to Judaism. Excuse me, to Judaism.
That they shared for centuries.
That they have shared for centuries. I'm sorry.
Isn't that amazing that someone of that great faith, who's devoted and loyal to her people and to this lady, you know, sometimes we find that put you down. And I think that Naomi and Ruth's story today is so much needed in our country and in this universe, because we still have women and mother-in-laws who don't speak.
So
And we use that as an example to bridge relationships.
a way to teach loyalty.
Let's teach loyalty. And we know that men do, when we have our sons, we do release them to their wives. But our daughter-in-laws, let's not forget the mother-in-laws, okay? I'm about to become a mother-in-law, and I promise you, I've kind of taken that for granted. But my prayer is, I have one child, and I would pray that my soon-to-be daughter-in-law would allow my son to have a bond, and that she and I can have a bond and establish a family in that way. How beautiful of a family that would be when we possess that kind of loyalty. And as Sister Regina reminded us, that kind of loyalty that Ruth had for Naomi is an indication or symbolic of the relationship Jesus had when he left his home to see about us. Isn't that amazing? That's some precious love. Oh, thank you, Sister Regina. Well, then we have another one we talked about. That's Ruth. Don't forget now, if y'all want to call in, feel free to call at 1-877-226-2106. Okay? Well, let's talk about Mary of Nazareth, the mother of Jesus. That's the one that I chose, and so did Janice Martin. Hey, Janice Martin, I don't know if you're on here this evening, but let me share what Janice said. Janice said, Mary, because she is the mother of our Savior, Jesus. And, I always wonder if Mary was, in present day language, when this angel came to her, and she was single at the time, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing it. And you're told you're going to have a baby. And y'all know how y'all are if single women have a baby. Y'all want to talk about them like dirt. Talk them down, drag them into the mud. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? Just imagine how that young lady would feel that she's going to have a baby and that she's going to be bearing a special child. But the whole thing that she's going to be bearing a baby. But Mary was so precious because God chose her. Isn't that something? He chose her to bear his son. And she was obedient in doing that. And she brought forth our Savior. And Regina shared something with me over the break about the song, Mary, Did You Know? Did she know? Imagine that she was bringing forth a king. And we talked about when these children are being brought forth, respect your babies. You don't know who's in your womb. You hear me? You don't know who's in that womb. When you don't feed them, or clothe them, or listen to them speak, we don't know who we are neglecting. I was thinking about how we know that our President Obama's father wasn't really in his life a lot. Did he know he had given seed to a president? Did he know that? These absentee parents, do they know
What they're missing out on.
what they're missing out on with these children? Mary embraced that opportunity, and Joseph stood right up for that child, and he was there for that baby. And Sister Regina, I don't know if you want to share that song with us today. It's not a Christmas song, is it?
It's
a song of love.
Song.
It is.
Imagine being that girl, because we were talking about point of view earlier too, and imagine looking at it from Mary's point of view. I'm a child basically myself.
Yes,
Even though they
yes.
married young,
Yes.
it wasn't just that it was a child she was bringing forth. She had gotten the message that you are about to do something that's going to change everybody's life. You're about to do something that's going to change the world as you know it.
My.
And I could again, my imagination, just imagine that teenager and the weight of that and all the wondering she must have done preparing. And I'm going to try. Okay?
Okay.
Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? Mary, did you know know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy had come to make you new, and that the child that you deliver will soon deliver you? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would give sight to the blind man? And Mary, did you know that your baby boy would calm the storms with his hand? And did you know
You're listening
that
to
your
the Rankins Files here on Dixie 94.5. Come back and join us. That's Miss Regina Philen. Mary, did you know?
And that the sleeping child you're holding is the great I
Woo!
Had to finish it for the
Hey,
Facebook first.
praise be to God. My. Mary, did you know? Was my Facebook Live audience, Miss Regina Philen, my vocalist for today, helping me out as we celebrate women. That song just touches my heart. Listen to the words, Mary, did you know? Phenomenal, aren't they? So I want you to think about that. Now I'm going to take a moment and pause and say hello to our Facebook audience. And I don't know, Sister Regina, you want to share with them? We'll have you share that so the whole audience can hear. But when we come back on the radio, I want them to hear what that song means to you. Okay? But in the meantime, we're going to give a shout out to Miss Deborah Jones, who's joined us. Minister Jeanette Horn, how are you doing? Donna, thank you so much. Donna said, great. My Sister Horn said that. And then Donna Evans said, do you think Mary realized her son would be killed? Wouldn't that break your heart?
Amen.
Oh, my God.
All the things she
Oh,
didn't
Donna,
know.
all that she
things
did not know. Great point,
He would
Donna.
be the ultimate sacrifice.
He will be the ultimate sacrifice. Deborah Jones said, awesome. Hi, Sheila Renee Nod. Brenda Williams, hello there. Vanessa Patterson said she loves this topic that we have. Thank you, Vanessa. And feel free to chime in if you want to. Call in if you want to share a comment. Hi, Sue Lynn Criswell. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're feeling better. I heard you were under the weather. Miss Maddie Gilliard, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. We have Celia. She said, hello, listeners. And Cinda, I'm glad to know you're feeling better. Very good. So we're going to continue getting ready for our next segment. Thank you all for joining us. And if you have a question, chime in. And then I'm going to check and see if any of you made any comments on our Facebook page. Okay. Anyone we want to share next? Okay, I think that's
Janice is
it.
still the last one.
Okay. So, we want to talk about, we got to talk about Esther.
For such a time as this.
And I like that life lesson too. I think we'll go back and share that.
Okay, yes, that's
I think it's kind of sweet, isn't it? The life lesson that each one had.
To Naomi. That could be a good recap.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, hello, radio audience. This is Deborah Rankins, and you are listening to the Rankins Files, along with my co-host, Miss Regina Philen. She has joined us here. She's from Monroeville. She is an educator and vocalist. And many talents. She's also an actress as well. She's very gifted and speaker and everything. She's just a lady of many talents. I'll put it that way. And I'm just so honored to have her. But if you're just joining us, we are discussing the women of the Bible, those that we admire. We've already discussed Ruth. She's a loyal daughter-in-law, and one may say that Ruth's vow to Naomi is one of the most beautiful statements of comments in Scripture, which comes from Ruth, 1st chapter 16 and 17. Her obedience to Yahweh God brought rich rewards. And that's the 4th chapter, 10th through the 17th. We also spoke about Mary of Nazareth, mother of Jesus. Well, Mary modeled an attitude of obedience and trust. And we talked about, as Donna mentioned and Regina talked about, what if did she know her son was going to be, killed right before her eyes, and would take on the burdens and be spit on and cut and stabbed and punched. To have a mother to watch that of your baby, that's something else, isn't it?
You as a mother know what is a mother's first instinct. Protect
Yes.
your child.
Yes.
She had to willingly, and that willingness is the other thing that comes out. She had to willingly stand by and let God's will unfold before her, even though it meant that she would lose in the end her child, because he would make that ultimate sacrifice.
My. And as he told her as a very young age, when she went looking for him, didn't he? He said that I'm about my father's business. Ooh, hallelujah.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
golly, hallelujah. How many are us or about our father's business? That statement came from a child. To me, that says something about the children in our lives. We need to listen to our children, don't we?
Yes.
And to what they have to say. We don't know what God has destined or paid for their future, what purpose he has given them.
And see, these ladies are teaching us right now. And one thing, and I think about it, and you've seen the images too, where everybody, and I'm holding up the cell phone for you all, can't see me, but we sit at our tables, we're at our dinners, we are at family gatherings. Everybody is looking at a device.
Yes.
Talk to them.
Oh,
She learned from her child, and she
Yes.
knew that she had to let him go.
yes.
We need to know which way they're going. I told you earlier before the segment began, the first segment began. Some of us were not so blessed as to have a child. So when we stand by and we see, and I think of this is what you asked me before in between segments, that song, Mary, Did You Know?
Yes.
That girl that I mentioned to you has children that she is not feeding. And I told you my sister's line is always this: DNA does not make a mother, nor does it make a father.
Ooh.
Parenting is a job. It's a skill. It must be learned. It must be practiced daily. We tell the children all the time, how do you get better at something? You practice it daily in order to improve it. You want to see some improvement. So again, with Mary, and Mary, Did You Know, just the song that was written about her journey. She didn't know all that was about to unfold before her. So a lot of it she learned along the way. She had to willingly accept, because it was the will of God. But imagine these mothers here now to take her lesson to teach us. We don't know who, and I say we, and I consider myself mother to all my little babies
You
every
are
year.
mother.
But we don't know who we are looking at in front
don't
of
know.
us. Listen to them. Talk to them. If they're on the wrong path, give them a nudge in the right direction.
Yes.
Be a listening ear and a guiding voice. If I have to give you two things, I always tell them to marry their ears. Listen. We have to speak, but listen too. Marry your ears and your voice.
My. Well, I promise you, I was just sitting here thinking, and we were talking about Naomi and Ruth and that loyalty, where in order for Ruth to want to be loyal to Naomi and her people, that meant that Naomi presented herself in a fashion
Yes.
that Ruth would want to be loyal to her and to be her for that, in that manner. It talks about relationships between two women. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
And I say, like this weekend, that was a beautiful thing that women came together and joined together. Women, I challenge us, how are we seeing other women?
Yes, the sisterhood.
Sisterhood.
What is the sisterhood looking like?
What does it look like from someone who's not a sisterhood? How are the children seeing how we interact with other sisterhoods?
Exactly.
What are the men seeing? Are we respecting each other, women? The more we respect and show love, I think the more men will show love and respect us. something to think about. You know, these are just my points. Now getting back to the women of the Bible, we had on our list, we had, was it Esther to be mentioned? And I'm looking at my reference. I don't know everything and don't profess to. I'm a student in training. As I go, I learn something new every day. And so what I did was I went out and did some research, as we librarians do, to find out more. And it says that Esther, for such a time as this, her background, she was a beautiful orphan Jewish girl, according to Esther 2:2, the adopted daughter of her cousin Mordecai, in second chapter 7 and 15, a God-fearing woman living in a pagan court. That describes a lot of us today, doesn't it? God-fearing woman, but some of us are living in hell, right? We are living in a tough time, trying to do the right thing, trying to hold on to our faith, trying to love and do what God requires us to do. But our environment puts pressures on us daily. Some of us in our very homes, some of us in our workplace. But it says that Esther teaches us that she teaches us courage and wisdom were used by God to save his people from extinction, right? And beauty and creativity are also useful tools for a God-fearing woman. You know, there's nothing wrong with having beauty. And so we should embrace it. And when we say beauty, I don't just see beauty as outside, because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And because God created us, women, in his image, we are all beautiful because God is beautiful, right? Those are the attributes that he has. That's how I see it. You want to chime in on there, Regina?
You know, Roddy knows what you're talking about.
Hey,
So
girl.
where Esther found herself. And a couple of things came to mind. You were talking about her beauty. And, you know, I told you my comfort zone. Give me a song and I'm okay, if I could turn life into a musical. But she found herself in a pagan court. She's a God-fearing woman.
Yes.
And I thought about Death and the Beautiful Lady. She kind of got caught up in her surroundings. That was my song for that one. Mm-hmm. And so each time Death paid a visit in her area, she panicked just a little bit, but he'd say, oh no, I'm going for your neighbor down the road. So she's, you know, glowing in her beauty, and she's enjoying everything her beauty brings to her. Mm-hmm. And each time Death comes, of course, he's coming to see somebody else. But as we get older, ladies, my sisters, we start to lose our hair.
Yes.
Teeth start doing things.
Yes.
Skin starts doing things.
That's true.
Other things start doing things.
Yes.
And we have to spend more time at doctors and more time, some of us anyway, with
Get
makeup and other
overalls.
things. It takes longer to get prepared during the course of the day. So when I thought about Esther's character, I thought about a couple of things. In it, but not of it. Mm-hmm. I can be in that court. But that goes back to my marketing thing. How are you selling yourself? Because the glow of her being a woman of God can be on her while she's in that pit. Ooh, and she might draw somebody else out of that court.
Girl.
Out of that court. Out of that court. Instead of becoming one of them. Ooh. The other thing was this proverb I read, and you know, Facebook, you get 1,000 things a day. Not my circus, not my monkeys. So she could just leave them alone.
Yes.
And move on.
Yes.
You know, just you see, hey, I see them. They're doing that. That is not me. This is not the path that God has chosen for me. I'm moving on.
It is so important to know the path God has chosen for us, right?
Oh, yes. And when we can't see it clearly, when you get that nudge, I say that inner voice that tells you, okay, this is not right for you. This is not where you're supposed to be. Listen to it, because sometimes that still small voice is trying to get you back to the path you're supposed to be on.
My. And are you going to sing that song for us?
Which one was
the one you paired with that?
Actually, I kind of paired Esther and Hagar. We didn't quite cover Hagar.
Let's talk about Hagar a little bit, and then you share that one. Let's squeeze Hagar in there, okay? And that's Hagar. Sometimes people give Hagar a hard time, don't they?
I like the way that you have, well, not like, but it paints her in a different way.
Yes.
The way that she's listed in the research you did.
Yes.
Saying that she was an abused woman. Well, during that time period, you have to think, okay, if I'm your maid, I'm your handmaiden.
Yes.
I have to do your bidding.
You're told.
I'm
Yes.
doing your bidding. It's whatever you said for me to
Yes.
do. So basically, she was following directions. She may have strayed in that she thought that maybe Abraham would be with her
Yes.
and that child rather than he have the child. And I think she strayed in that, but really she was serving.
Yes.
She was serving.
She was serving.
She was in that
That
service
was her
role.
service mode. Yes.
She was Sarah's Egyptian servant, according to Genesis 16:1. She was the mother of Ishmael. She had an Egyptian, excuse me, she found an Egyptian wife for Ishmael later on when you get down to Genesis 21 and 21. In her story, she was a surrogate for Abraham's promised son
Yes.
at that time. So as a servant.
Wow, look at time. Woo. When we come back, I know time is flying, and we thought we could cover all these women, and we only have one or two. But we're going to come back for the next segment. Don't go any place. It's time for a commercial break, and we will be right back. And we'll start with Hagar, an abused woman, and we're going to talk about why she was. Wow, isn't it amazing how time flies? This is good. I'm like, oh man, I know we're going to do part two. As we haven't even gone down our one or two lists that we had.
Because we mentioned a few, but we didn't talk.
Boy, guys, I hope y'all are enjoying this as much as Regina and I are having a great time. It's something about, talking about the women of the Bible. And sometimes I think we take it for granted, but, the Bible is timeless on a serious note. It lives. It is alive, and it is a model for us to live our lives by. And sometimes I think we forget because the world is changing so, but the Bible is always there to keep us on track. It's a reference. It's one of the best. I'm a librarian, and I would say that of all the reference books that I've had or encountered, the Holy Bible is my guide. It is the best reference book that I have had. Okay.
But it is one of the best libraries you could ever invest in. It is literature. It is history.
Yes.
We can take so many lessons from the scriptures. I mean, homeschooling, some people are on the fence about. I'm not really with because I believe in socialization. But it's a good way to reinforce lessons and teach morals and values. But you can teach using it. Reading skills. People want to know, well, where can I go to find? You can use your Bible.
Yes.
How did we learn centuries ago? A fire, a lantern,
Yes.
the Bible.
Yes.
I even taught children years and years ago to make a horn book. On a horn book were the letters of the alphabet and Our Father,
Aww.
the prayer. And so each year we would make our own version of a horn book that they could take home with them. And they learned that children did not have books. They had the family Bible.
Yes, they
And they were
did.
taught their lessons from that Bible. So those women, those men were their studies.
Oh, and the people on the radio, I'm sorry, y'all are missing this. They're not here to get this, but maybe they'll go back on Facebook Live and listen to that information you shared because sometimes we take things for granted, but somebody hadn't thought about that. And one of the things that I'm big on is to learn about the Bible is through Sunday school and church school.
Right.
And if you don't want to go to church school and Sunday school, then teach it at your home. Introduce your children to the Bible. But right now we're getting on the air, and I can't believe we're down to our final segment, aren't we? Where did time go? So what we're going to do is bring everybody back on the radio. Hello, radio audience. You're listening to the Rankins Files, and I'm Deborah Rankins with my co-host, Regina Philen. We were talking about Hagar at the end there, and we talked about Esther, and so we were going to bring those two together, and she's going to bring us a song, a vocal number. So I'm going to have her go ahead and finish up with Hagar, and then Hagar was a special woman that she talked about. Sometimes we give her a hard time. She was sort of like the other woman, but at that time that was acceptable. She was a servant. And because of that, her role was to whatever they wanted her to be. And so that's what she was. But even through that,
God loved Hagar, and he looked out for her, and his blood, Jesus' blood, was shed for her too. So, Regina, you want to share with us with that solo?
Okay, just a few final notes on her story. And like I said, labeling her as the abused woman. She was cast out.
Yes, she was.
She was cast out. She was a surrogate for Abraham's promised son, since Sarah was infertile.
Yes.
According to Genesis 16:3-4. She was promised that she would be the mother of a great nation, paralleling God's promise to Abraham. Paralleling. So her promise actually was in line with his, but it wasn't his promise. In that promise, she was given that she would not be the mother of that promised child that Abraham would bring forth. She gave birth to Ishmael. She was sent away by Sarah into the desert, banished. But God provided for her and her son. They settled in the wilderness. Genesis 21:20-21. Hagar experienced prejudice. Like we used to say anyway, can you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Hagar
I
experienced
just want to
prejudice.
share, that's kind of what people do to women back in the day. They kind of start when a woman was pregnant. They sent her away, didn't they?
Right. Women really didn't have a place in the public eye.
Oh my golly, okay.
She experienced injustice.
Mm-hmm.
She experienced abuse. And she felt despair.
Yes.
Yet God saw her and provided for her needs.
Provider.
She responded in faith to God, despite all of those difficult circumstances that she had to face.
Thanks be to God. Thanks be to God. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. When the world sends you away, God is there, right? Isn't that amazing? Ooh, I used to wonder why, you may have grown up in my house, and Mama always say, the Lord will provide.
Amen. We all grew up with that.
We don't need to forget that quote.
Mm-mm.
Because that means that there is hope beyond the circumstances.
Yes.
Where there is a ram in the bush. I grew up with that quote too in the house. That will keep us, and that is all coming from the Word, knowing the Bible. Now, what do you want to share with us? We got to get a solo in here now. Bless us, honey.
Well, I keep Kirk Franklin in my hip pocket. I'm sorry.
Whatever you are
led, just to me, when I read that and when I saw her story was on the line and somebody had submitted her name, God provides.
Yes.
Look at where she was.
Ooh,
you left in the desert. And we've been at work with the children talking about the Sahara and all these deserts and what a desert really is like. Imagine where she is. But he provided for her right there.
In the desert.
God provides. So why should I worry about my life? When you've come to my rescue 1,000 times, every other voice, it is a lie. God provides. He'll come through when the clouds of doubt rain down on you and test everything you thought you knew. Now you finally see what God can do for you. So tonight, close your eyes. There's no more need to fight. Watch God provide.
Watch God provide. You know what? Where did this time go? Time flies when you're having fun, literally. And I want to apologize right now, as they say, right now, for not being able to cover all the women I had hoped to cover. And I want to thank the people. I know Ed Williams has shared Mary and Martha. We didn't get to cover them. And who did Vanessa had mentioned Esther, which we did get to talk about. But I want to talk about Rachel and Mary Magdalene and Rebecca and all those folks. But you know what? That tells me that for such a time as this, we're going to have to come back, Regina,
We're going to have
and
part
talk
two.
about a part two, women of the Bible, because that is such a topic that, and it's just amazing the stories that are there. I encourage the women from this show to go back and look at women of the Bible and ask yourselves, where do you see yourself? What lives are you more your aligned with? And when I was doing my research, I thought about, because I told y'all I mentioned Delilah. Well, she was a bad girl. But there are bad girls in the Bible too. Because in the Bible, there's nothing new under the sun. I used to hear my mom say that.
You chose Delilah, I chose Jezebel.
You chose Jezebel.
That's a bad girl too.
See, we're going to talk about the bad girls too. And I thought we got to do a show and talk about the bad girls of the Bible. Because they have a place in history and we should discuss them. And it helps us to know what we should not be doing. And I keep thinking about Minister Horn when she talked about, I think it was Hannah. And so she was talking about how God showed her some things in her life. And God shows us things in our lives that we need to sometimes go back and look at. But how do we know if we don't see for ourselves? And the Bible is a great mirror, as a great dressing room. I'm borrowing Minister Horn's word now. She said that she's in the dressing room. And you know what? I want y'all to know, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm in the dressing room. God is still working on me, and he has a lot of work to do daily. I have to pray daily and ask the Lord to lead me, guide me. I have to pray for forgiveness. I pray for wisdom and understanding. I pray for direction. I look to role models. I search the word daily, asking the Lord to give me some direction for my life and to guide me to be a blessing to someone, not to be selfish in my own flesh and my own body, but to be an instrument, to be a vessel by which for him to use me. I want to be a Ruth and Naomi, a Mary, a Martha. I want to be one of those godly women. I want to maintain their attributes. So let's come together, women, and let's see how God can make us better women. Sister Regina, I want to make sure you have something to say and give you time out to say something, because we are getting toward the end and we have less than 5 minutes. So what would you like to share with our audience?
Well, I want to first thank you for inviting me back. I always enjoy talking with you anyway. And this is just like us having a good sister talk. It encourages me. I'm going to be selfish. It uplifts me. I told you earlier about Facebook. I have so many news items that come through my news feed because of articles or magazines or whatever I've gotten on my timeline. And I just decided that starting in January, January 1, to share positive. So I told Deborah, if you get tired of my positive messages, just kind of unfollow or whatever. But to crowd out some of that stuff, I want to see a positive message on my page. So if you want to send me something, say something, just give me something positive to read or post something positive on your timeline. I'm stalking you all the time when you have the good stuff on there. And I've enjoyed this, and I look forward to, if I'm not a part of part 2, enjoy being able to listen and tune in to part 2.
Honey,
I have enjoyed
you
this
must be a
thoroughly.
part of part 2. You must be, okay? I highly recommend you. Go ahead and I'll let you know we're going to set a date for part 2 so we can do that. Now, keep in mind that we are going to be discussing authors, which this is right in line with my series for January and February. But tonight we chose to discuss the greatest book of all, the Bible. And the Bible is so large, we chose to focus on women. And so women of the Bible. And there are so many great women in there and all kind of women that we're going to have to break it up and do a whole series on our discussions with women. And then next time, we may have to bring Minister Horn in here and see if her schedule allows her to come in and help join us on
Go
women.
ahead
So
and
if she's
start a
listening,
chicken
Minister
now.
Jeanette Horn, we're going to have to bring you in too. And if there's anyone else that wants to come in and chime in, I want to, while I have a moment before we go, is share this quote that I had on my page that I thought, it touched me so, and I had to share it, and that is, don't let anyone's, women, I share with you, be true to womanhood and Be true to being a stately, godly woman, a woman with class and finesse and elegance. So don't let anyone's ignorance, hate, drama, or negativity stop you from being the best person you can be.
Amen.
Let's do that. Don't let us not get caught up in someone else's drama. We got to be reminded that that's their drama, not ours. We get to choose what we want to participate in. Our good Lord gave us choice, didn't he? He even gave us the choice to choose him. He didn't have to because God is sovereign. He has all the power. So let's be reminded of that. And before we speak, let's start thinking more before we speak and ask the Lord to teach us that. Those final words, I pray you've been blessed and encouraged on the Rankins Files this evening. God bless you. We'll see you next week.